Hi, I'm John Schwent. I'm the head coach for the SOCOM shooting team. I'm a retired Marine of 23 years. I've been coaching since 1987 as well as competitive shooting. I've been part of the Warrior Games since 2010 and I've been coaching SOCOM since 2016.
I'm Dwayne Lewis, retired Army veteran of 30 years. I've got 23 years experience in competitive shooting and coaching. 7 of those years I was with the AMU Marksmanship Unit and 10 years with the U.S. Army Shooting Team. I've been assistant coach for the SOCOM Air Rifle Team and Pistol Team since 2016.
So what we want to go over today are the three shooting sports that is part of the Warrior Games. So there's air rifle standing, air rifle prone, and air pistol. Those are the three sports that we'll have as part of the games. You can participate in one, or you can choose two, but unfortunately you can't shoot all three. So you'd have to pick two of the ones that you're your most favorite. Let's talk about the accuracy of these air guns. These air guns are the most accurate rifle and pistols in the world. If you can envision taking a straw and shooting a pellet through the straw at 10 meters without ever touching the sides of the straw, that's how accurate these air guns are. These are commonly used in international NCAA competitions, and our Olympic and Paralympic athletes shoot these air guns as well, so they're extremely accurate. So today what we want to cover are the different gear and equipment, the targets that are used, and then we'll demonstrate the three shooting positions so you can see what those look like. So let's take a look at now just how accurate these air guns are. All right, so what we're looking at here are the targets that we actually shoot at 10 meters. We shoot a 177 pellet. You can see here that it's these aren't your typical Walmart pellets, but they are 177. It's called a match pellet. We have a separate one for the rifle and one for the pistol. These targets right here are extremely small. It's about the size of a $50. Now the diameter of this pellet is the diameter of the 9 ring. Let me show you the difference. So when it's zoomed all the way in, that pellet is perfectly centered in that target. That's what we call a 10.9. And so each individual ring that the pellet happens to become tangent to, you get the higher value. But you can see that pellet fits it's specifically centered inside the 9 ring. So the 10 ring is actually in the center of that pellet. Okay, so you can see where this pellet is landing on this target. It's barely touching what we call the 10 ring. That dot right there is the actual 10. So if that pellet happens to just partially touch the center of the dot, that's called a 10.0. And then when you shoot the perfect shot, when it's perfectly centered inside the 9 ring, that is what we call a 10.9.
Okay, now let's take a look at the equipment needed for the air rifle. We'll start out with the rifle here itself. Inside the rifle you have your EIC, your empty chamber indicator, which will be placed in the rifle at all times when not being fired. Along with the rifle you have your air tank adapter, you have your note-taking material, hearing protection, tools to make your fine adjustments. You'll have your sling adapter, ammo. Here you have your stand for offhand with your pellet tray. For prone portion, you'll have your mat and sling, your jacket, some type of headgear, and a sweatshirt, which is one underneath the jacket here, along with a glove. These are the items needed for when shooting the air rifle portion. Now let's take a look at the equipment needed for the air pistol. Here you have one of the many different types of pistols that we'll be utilizing. This one has an electronic trigger. SOCOM has 2 or 3 different styles. Within the actual air pistol itself, you have the EIC, which is your empty chamber indicator. You'll need note-taking material. Here you have your commercial air tank with air tank adapter. You'll need pellets, your Air Pro. Here's your tool kit for making fine adjustments for the sight. You have a spare air cylinder. Here's your case to carry your equipment in. Now if we looked at the equipment needed for the air pistol, let's now take a look at the different type targets we'll be utilizing.
So with the targets that are used in the Warrior games, this would be a comparable target. It's an electronic target. They're about $3,500 a piece. They're connected wirelessly and wired back to your shooting station. There's a monitor on your table, and it would demonstrate and reflect every single shot that is shot. Not everybody can pull one of these off, you know, back home, but there is something you can do in lieu of that. And this is commercially purchased at many places out there. It's a box with a steel plate in the back, and you can put a sheet of paper in it that you can actually shoot multiple targets or multiple bulls, such as this one right here. So you would get a rifle or pistol sheet. This one has 10 different targets, so you can actually shoot 2 shots per each, and that's a 20-shot string. You got a backer right here. There's some other backer stuff you can use, but at the end of the day, you can practice at home with the paper target and still get some effective training. So now that we've looked at all the gear and equipment for the rifle, the pistol, and the target system, let's go take a look at the actual 3 shooting positions. Okay, so now we're going to have one of our warriors, Chris McGlinnis, demonstrate the rifle prone position. So as you can see, Chris has got his jacket, his proper headgear. He's going to work on his natural point of aim. And then he's going to pull his ECI out, which is required once you're already in the firing line. Notice on Chris's table, he's got his pellets or where he can reach them, note-taking material, some tools to make adjustments. A bottle of water is authorized to be on the firing line. No electronic targets or phones are allowed on the firing line. So what we're going to have Chris do is demonstrate a couple dry fire shots. These rifles have a dry fire capability because expending air is not good when doing your dry fire. So these high-speed rifles allow for that capability. So notice how Chris just reloaded that quickly without taking his head off the stock. And he makes a well-aimed shot. We'll do this for 40 shots in a time limit of 55 minutes. Okay, so now we're going to have warrior Chris McGlinnis demonstrate the rifle standing position. So this is an unsupported position, no sling, all offhand. You can see that Chris's jacket is buttoned all the way down now, which we couldn't see that in the other video, but this allows for total positioning of his body standing. You notice he's got that left arm, resting on his hip. So he'll work on his natural point of aim on his table. Again, he's got some pellets, note-taking material. The offhand stand that's used for this so that it prevents him from a lot of movement. So again, this course of fire is 40 shots, a time limit of 55 minutes. So Chris will build his position, take a couple dry fire shots, checking his natural point of aim. Nice and relaxed. He breaks a shot, puts it back on the offhand stand. As you can see, very minimal movement. He's already recocked the rifle, and he'll execute a second shot. The good thing about this rifle, these air rifles, they have a bunch of adjustments so that we can fit the rifle to the individual shooter. Nice shot. And that is the offhand standing position. Now let's go take a look at our pistol position. Okay, now we got one of our coaches, Dwayne Lewis, is going to demonstrate the pistol sport. As we mentioned earlier, this is shooting one hand at 10 meters. And you can see Dwayne's got all of his gear set out, his note-taking material, his pellets. Notice his left hand. We secure the left hand, grab a belt buckle, put it in your pocket, kind of get it out of the way, and Dwayne's working on his natural point of aim. When he gets finished, he'll take his ECI out, and he'll demonstrate dry firing a few shots. So as he goes through this process, notice the relaxation that he does. Deep breath, exhale, relaxing, raises the pistol up, and he'll execute a shot. Notice Dwayne's got an eye blinder on his non-shooting eye. In this sport, we don't close one eye, so he's just trying to prevent that eye from focusing in. So He'll break a shot. He's already reloaded the pistol. Notice his feet never moves. Relaxation. That's your point of aim, executing the shot. Because it's pistol, we shoot a 40-shot match in a time limit of 70 minutes in this game. So in conclusion today, we went over the 3 shooting disciplines. We talked about the accuracy of these air guns. We went over the different target systems that are used, as well as all the different gear and equipment that is used in the Warrior Games. And we also demonstrated the 3 shooting positions.
We're looking forward to seeing you guys back on the range for a little
Pew pew therapy.